Hi, and welcome to the I Ramble podcast. We're an entrepreneur-centric podcast, guiding you with some tried and true strategies from people that have taken their ideas from mental creation to reality. Now they're trying to make it easier for you to succeed in your endeavors. So sit back and listen to these entrepreneurs, builders, and designers share the step-by-step formulation of their business. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for new episodes. Enjoy!
What the deal, what the business is, and you already know that's not a rhetorical question. That's a real question. And today the business is guidance. Now when you build in a business, trying to formulate your idea from your brain to reality, you often don't realize the importance of a mentor, someone to guide you through, help you learn the learning curve, so that you actually lessen the headaches and things like that you go through when you're building and growing a business. And that's the whole reason why we created the I Ramble podcast, is to really give you some tried and true strategies from some builders, architects, guiders to help you through the process. And one of the things I learned in terms of building and growing this podcast is we want to grow it in an organic way. We want to grow it in a way where even if you're trying to start a podcast, you don't need to be so refined. You can build and grow, and your audience can understand that it was new to you. It's genuine, it's real, it's true. So you don't have to be so refined as you start the process. The only thing you need to know is that you have something that you're trying to do, and you need to just start it and grow it, and your audience and people will grow with you while you're doing that. So in the meantime, let me just introduce myself. My name is Keino, right? I'm the humble servant of the I Ramble podcast, and I'm also the humble servant of the I Mean No Disrespect podcast. And that podcast, I Mean No Disrespect, is really one where we can kind of talk more freely. The I Ramble podcast is the one that we're going to just really show you just some business practices. And this particular episode is very personal to me, but I was trying to figure out whether I was going to put it on the I Ramble podcast when I first started it, or whether I was going to just put it on the I Mean No Disrespect platform. But because the I Ramble podcast is about guidance, it's about trying to show you some tried and true practices, and it's about letting you know that there's different ways to do things, so you can learn from other people's mistakes, learn from other people's, because they say one of the number one things you can do is learn from people's mistakes so you don't make them yourself. But if you don't have proper guidance, you're going to end up making the same mistake again, and that's what I call rinse and repeat. You just see what they did, and you end up just basically doing the same thing, bumping your head, and then now your learning curve is a little bit more harder than it needed to be. And then now you're starting to scratch again in terms of formulating your business and things of that nature. So this is kind of in conjunction with I Ramble podcast and also the I Mean No Disrespect podcast. And like I said, this was a real personal to me, so I had to really take my time to be real mindful in how I went about this particular topic in terms of the guidance I was going to give you, because it was going to really get into some personal business and things of that nature. So just to give you some backstory and things like that, I'm originally from Jamaica, and we came up to America in probably about 86, somewhere in that neighborhood. And as a foreigner, you come, someone comes to the country, or you file for a visa or things like that. and you're here and you're trying to establish yourself. You're trying to build and grow something, because in your country where you came from, the opportunities really wasn't there. So that's a lot of the dream from foreigners from wherever the country, region that they're from. They're coming to America to try to build and better themselves, and then build and better their family and friends and things like that. So my aunt and uncle filed for my mom, which was my aunt's sister, obviously, my aunt. And then my mom came to America, and she came with my sister first. And I think my sister is probably around 3, 4, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then she came here looking for work, trying to build herself, because she was married to my dad, and trying to bring my dad and her other kids here so that they can build and grow. So my mom came to America. She had her daughter with her. She had 3 boys and 1 daughter, and she wanted to bring her daughter with her. That was very important to her. So she had my little sister with her when she came here, and then me, my dad, and my 2 brothers, we were in Jamaica, and my dad was working, doing electrical work at the time. My mom's a teacher, so we were just doing what families do in foreign countries at the time. My dad working, and we going to school, just trying to build to a point where, just trying to maintain and sustain to a point where we can come to America and live that family dream, the house, picket fence, dog, kids, and things like that, and just grow from there. So eventually we did come to America, and we were staying with my aunt. So it's me, my dad, my 2 brothers, and my sisters, and we're staying in a room with a adjacent room where the kids stayed, and my parents was in the main room. But once we came to America, my mom was sick. So by the time we got to America, my mom was sick, at that point kind of bedridden. So we didn't really get to enjoy her on a large scale in terms of going out and doing, family things, and that affected us a whole lot, because, we just saw her sick mostly. Like I said, she was sick in the bed, and so we really didn't get a chance to do that family thing of the going out and things like that. But in the meantime, my dad is working. He started doing electrical work when he came here because of his experience already. So he's doing that. My mom is sick, and we're going to school, and I don't really think my sister was in school at that time. I'm not sure. I gotta probably ask my dad, but either way, I came here, I was about 10, somewhere in there, 10, 11, and my other brother, my middle brother, he was probably around 14, 15, and my oldest brother from my mom was probably around 15, probably around 16, 17. So we have a little bit of gap between us. But, we're going to school, and like I said, trying to build our family and things like that. So I really speak for myself personally in terms of what I'm talking about with the podcast and with the guidance that we're trying to give you, so I can really mostly speak for myself and a lot of the things that I'm saying to you. So I was in 4th grade or something like that. I went to Whittier. My middle brother, I believe he went to Paul, and my older brother, he went to Coolidge. I think it was right in that, that gap right there. So we went elementary school, middle school, high school, and we just started building and growing from there. And we weren't always able to have the things that we needed, not necessarily needed, don't let me say needed, all the luxuries and the extras, because my parents is trying to make sure we have pay the rent, food on the table, and things like that. So I'm going to school, my brothers are going to school, but we're in a new environment. We're in a new place. We're coming from Jamaica, like I said, so the struggle is different. And then we see all the opportunities that America offer, which is it's tremendous. It's like work hard, build and grow, and these are all the great things that you can do to build a family. It's the opportunities that you're looking for. It's all of these great things that you need and want in life. So we're going to school. We're trying to do the best we can, and trying to. When you're staying with people, you really try to stay out of the way of interrupting their day-to-day, because you're trying to build and fit in. And then that they were doing their normal living before you were there. So you're really just trying to stay out of the way of interrupting what their day-to-day was. So my dad would always have the rule of we need to be in our room, in our space by about 7 o'clock, somewhere in that time frame, because he get off work probably around 5, 6 o'clock, something like that. If he worked late, maybe 9 o'clock, if there was overtime available, he wants to get that overtime to make sure he have extra money to be able to stay ahead of the bills and all of those different things, So because we're in a new environment, we're wanting to explore. We want to see what's going on. We want to enjoy this, that, and the third. So around that time, like I said, I was about 10, 11, somewhere in that neighborhood, and my brothers were their age, 15, 17. So they're a little bit more advanced than me, and they're trying to enjoy the experience of obviously the older kids, what goes on and things like that. So they're more trying to understand what's going on just as more than I, because I'm just adhering to what's going on. I'm young. I'm a little I'm young. So their friends are more exploratory. Their friends are more out there trying to, staying out later than what my father's curfew was at that time. But in hindsight, looking back, I realize now what that curfew really was trying to deter from, because as an adult, what being out and about entails. After a certain time, there's only nothing but trouble that you can get into. You get home from school is finished at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So everything after that, hang out for an hour, hang out for 2 hours. But what else is going to be after that? You have homework to do. My dad was one of those sticklers. I send you to school to learn. I send you to school to pay attention. Just that way with it. So it was no real tolerance for acting up in class, and having the teacher call the house. It was none of that. It was really, you go to school to learn, because as a parent, you realize that you're trying to put your child on that right path. So if they pay attention in school, get good grades, and do those things, when it comes time for college, when it comes time for adulthood, you're on a good path, because you learn a whole lot. That's just how it goes. They were adults, so they understood the cycle of life more than we did. So as kids, you kind of buck the system in terms of that, because you don't realize that that's what they're trying to guide you to. And then you become an adult and realize that, oh, okay, you end up having bills to pay. You end up having rent, mortgage, kids of your own. You end up having all of these things. So if you aren't on a good path yourself, how can you then guide your children on a good path? So our parents was just real, not necessarily strict or stern, but just real giving us the guidance. Like I said, that's what this topic is, it's guidance. So they were trying to guide us in the proper way. They say teach your kids in the way that they should grow. So if you teach your child this, that, and the third, by the time they reach a certain age, they start, going in that path because they had proper guidance and they had proper visuals, proper structure, all of these different things in the way that they should grow and build. So they know how to be a good parent to their kids, because that's the cycle of life. We have no idea, not necessarily have no idea why we are here, but we know that it's a cycle of life. But if you teach your kids in a proper way, they can adhere to certain principles, grow in a proper manner, and then, they teach their kids in that way too as well. But, not to get off topic, but we just not necessarily in a time, it's just always seemed to been the time where the only thing we know is go get money, so times won't be so hard. But we end up losing the part of the hard work that it takes to get there. I always was taught that by the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread. So it's you don't want to just wake up and try to ball. You want to wake up, work hard. They say work hard, play hard, so look at it that way. You work hard, save your money, and things like that, and now you can take a vacation. Now you can have the other things that you were thinking of. So it's not really no shortcuts for real. It's hard work, so you can look back and say, okay, I work hard for this, I work hard for that. Now I'm able to do this, now I'm able to do that. But I'm only able to do that because of the hard work that I did in the beginning. So you're easier to not necessarily spend money, but you value the money you work hard for because you work hard for it. So that it's the getting up early in the morning to go, do a job that even if you don't like it or love it, you have to do it in order to provide for the kids and provide for the family. So I call this guidance on a lot of level too as well too, because at this point now, like I said, my mom is sick, and I also said this is going to be a little bit personal too as well. So I'm having to look back as a mature man as to my brother, because at this point now, my mom is sick. We're not able to do all the things that, we would love to do, which is have her out the bed and being able to go to this, that, and other places with us. But she's not able to do that. So now my brothers now, are taking care of her. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm quite sure my little sister didn't know what was going on. She just, we just knew mom is sick or what have you. So, and dad is working. So, we don't really know what's going on. So to get into a little bit of the personal part, as a lot of this is going to be, is my middle brother now, he starts I don't know, as I said, when I look back on things, man, as I grew and I look back on a lot of things, I didn't know where his frame of mind was, because Mom was in Jamaica with us and she was fine, healthy, and things like that. And now we come to America and she's sick. So whether that affected him more than me and my other brother more than me, because they were older, so they were more able to enjoy Mom. I'm just a young kid. Me and my sister, we just young kids still, gaining a frame of reference in terms of our parents. We just playing and, having fun kids. So whether my brother was able to deal with it or not, or maybe that was his way of coping. He just started not coming home after school as he should. Maybe because he didn't want to see Mom in the bed. As you get mature, you just look back on certain things in a different way. And as I got more mature, I started looking back on things and wondering, if that was what was going on. Were you acting out or doing this, that, and the third because you didn't want to come home to see Mom in bed sick, or you knew she was sick and, that's why you didn't want to come to the house or whatever, because you saw Mom sick in the bed and you were used to seeing Mom up and around, And like I said, this is guidance, and this is guidance for the younger kids. This is guidance for the parents to talk with your kids to see if they're acting out or they're, disobedience or whatever the case may be, is because they're not able to cope with whatever was going on. And that's your job as a parent to get to the root cause, get to find out, why your child is either all of a sudden acting out, or they was doing it the whole time and you didn't see the warning signs because you're working so hard. Two parents working long hour shifts and whatever that situation is for you personally, to kind of see the warning signs, to know that, okay, I maybe need to take a day off once a week or take a day off here and there to to see what's going on with my child. But because we're so busy and because we have bills to pay, we oftentimes don't really get a chance to do any of those things or see the importance of them until your child is really acting out. So more than anybody, my middle brother started really acting out, and a lot of part of this is to show you the slow build up, as to see how it goes from here, and here to where it can really get to. So that's why I say a lot of this is really personal too as well, because now I'm more mature. I'm able to look back and see what those things were, or what I think those things were, and see kind of what those warning signs were that maybe we weren't able to see and address at that time, But he started really acting out at that point in time, not coming home from school, like I said, a day or two, and then come back to that, and then come home with a story about, this is what happened or that is what happened. And a lot of kind of what I will get into with some of this, I won't really get too personal with it, because I always felt like a lot of family business was family business, I always have an analogy that I end up realizing when you go to a Thanksgiving party or whatever, and now you're walking up to the house, you're looking in the windows are open or whatever, and you look in and everything is nice, looking good on the table, but you didn't realize they were in there arguing about whatever an hour ago. Someone may have tossed the turkey across the room, or whatever, and they realize, oh my goodness, this Thanksgiving, people are coming over, let's clean this up. And then they clean it up, and then by the time you get to the door, knock on the door and open it, everybody's all smiles and things like that, but you really didn't realize what was going on before you got there. So it's kind of from the outside looking in. But as I got more mature and tried to look back on the issues that was going on, and then the issues that I had with my brother, I had to, really deal with it in a mature way. I couldn't be emotional, no matter what someone would like you to do. When you look back and look at a certain thing, you should always just have a rational mind. You should always look at it in an adult as much as you can frame of mind. It's easy to clap back and say this to say that, but you're really just being emotional when you say some of those things, because you might end up saying things you don't mean. You might end up saying things that it's not for public consumption or not for anyone else to get into. But you just always need to be of a rational frame of mind and not be emotional in how you deal with things. So as I realized certain things as I was growing up, as I grew, I realized I couldn't react emotional, because I was at a different space in my mind where I was trying to, and I was able to, in some instances, to look at it from a non-emotional frame of mind. So at that point now, my brothers, we weren't able to afford all the other things other established kids were, because even if they were foreigners or what have you, that was here for a longer period of time and was able to establish themselves, we may not have been able to afford all of those things. And then people who was already here were able to establish because they went to school, went to work, had a good job, things like that. So now they're able to buy their kids this, that, and the third. So we weren't able to have 2, 3, 4 pairs of shoes going to school. And even if we typically got probably about $100 to do back to school shopping. So we were wearing, MA 100s, probably an LA Gear, I think, whatever. We were shopping at Morton's at the time, which is probably like one of these discount stores or whatever nowadays or whatever. And that's where we did our school shopping. So I understood that naturally at that point and we were getting teased in school. We have a heavy accent. So all of these things I look back on and try to really do the overstanding of what was really going on, to really go from we have hardworking parents to now, he's not coming home from school, this, that. So it may have been the pressure, it may have been that, to stay relevant with the clothes, the shopping, the looking good in school. Maybe he was getting teased on a different level. I just knew the teasing and the joking I was getting when I was going to school, because of the accent and all of these other different things that I had at that point. But I can't really speak to that point for him. I can only speak to the actions that I saw that was going on. So, he's not coming home from school and things like that. And my parents aren't happy because, look, we send you to school to learn so that you can grow yourself, and then, repeat the cycle of what an adult is, or what an adult does, provide for the family and things like that. So at this point now, my brother's getting in trouble, and teachers are calling the house. He's not coming home from school. All of these different things. My parents aren't happy with it at all. Naturally, as they, as a parent would be, because I send you to school, and if you're not going to school, what's going on? where are you going? What are you doing? So what happens is now, a lot of his friends were living street life or living, well, that's probably the best way to put it at that point in time, because it's a rinse and repeat cycle. They say there's nothing new under the sun, so it's kind of a rinse and repeat cycle. And through living street life, now you're able to do this, that, and the third, and afford to buy this, that, and that becomes appealing. That's why I say this is guidance. It looks good, feels good, all of those things may be true, but then you understand at the end of the day, as you get older and get more mature, you realize there's only a couple of ways that end up. And those were one of the things, or those were some of the things that our parents are scared of. It's like, now you're going to go off a path and end up getting yourself in trouble and end up, not being able to provide for your family in a proper manner. It's just a real, you're kind of going off course. You can choose that course and decide that that'll work for you or what have you. But you understand that at the end of the day, it only ends up a couple of ways. So now our parents are trying to really deter that at that point in time, So I'm just really speaking to the things I saw and the things I was paying attention to. Because now at the point where he's not coming home from school, my mom is in the bed, and now my mom is asking me to go outside on the porch and look and see if I see my brother, and ask him and tell him to come in the house, because our dad wants us in our space by 7 o'clock. He really don't want us running around the house to break anything to pay for, or whatever whatever an adult is thinking at that point in time, because he's at work, she's in bed, and he's not coming home from school. So I say all of these things throughout. All that I'm saying to you is to show you how it builds up, so you can guide your kids, so you can pay attention to and see the warning signs, see how this go and that go. So none of these things, I have no problem with my brother. Whatever he's saying, whatever he do, is just whatever he chooses to do. I just got into a frame of mind where I was able to let go a lot of things a long time ago, or I got more mature and I was able to see certain things and looked at things as totally different. So now, like I said, we do the I Ramble podcast, and we do the I Mean No Disrespect podcast to give you proper guidance, so you can see the warning signs, so you can see how these things go, so you can now guide your son or daughter, and see the like I said, the warning signs, to know when you need to talk to them a little bit more, hear what they're saying. Oftentimes, even if a teacher called the house or they said this or that about your child, instead of whooping, beating, or whatever to them, talk with them. Ask them what happened, so you can truly hear what they have to say. And that's one of the things our parents always did. My father always used to say, I hate a liar and I hate a thief, because a liar is a thief and a thief is a liar. So he would always ask you what happened to hear what you're going to say. Even if he already knew the teacher called or he already knew the answer, he was just trying to guide you to let you know you don't need to lie, you don't need to steal, you don't need to do none of these things. Just tell me the truth. You might think you're going to get a beating, you might think you're going to get grounded, punishment, or whatever. Just tell me the truth. And oftentimes when you tell the truth, he'll say, okay, well, make sure you don't do that again. You do it again, obviously you might get punished or whatever. But it was really just to ask you what happened from your point of view. So, he's getting in trouble because, I think at that time, and that's me being there, but looking as an outsider looking in, because I can't think for him. I think it not just the infatuation of what comes with being out there and doing whatever he was doing, but now he's able to get this or do that because he see that's what his friends were doing. And that's oftentimes what happened, the influence of seeing what the trappings, let's say, of that. You know, you're doing this and you're able to get this and buy this and that and the third, and your parents can't afford it, and your parents keep telling you to go to school. Your parents keep telling you to go to bed by 9. All of these different things that was a staple back then. You know, nowadays kids are up a little bit later. You know, I mean, I can't call it for parents, but nowadays kids are able to stay up a little bit late according to their age. But our parents just had their guideline that they had in their brain that would keep you on a proper path. So it was be in the house by 7, do your homework, pay attention to school, go to school, and things like that. And then at a certain age now, male or female, you start to rebel against your parents because you think they're overbearing, you think they're telling you all of this and that, until you realize they're just trying to give you proper guidance so you don't get yourself in trouble, because now they're an adult and they see what comes with that. You eventually grow up and look back and see that's what comes with that. So now you're doing the same thing to your kids that your parents was doing to you, not realizing that they loved you the same way and they were just really trying to guide you that same way too as well, to keep you out of trouble and keep you on a proper path. And as you get more mature and as you become an adult, you look back and say, okay, maybe my parents wasn't too hard on me. Maybe they were really just trying to keep me out of trouble. Maybe they were just, and then you now, because you might be going through that with your kids, and now you're trying to do the same thing that your parents was trying to do to you, because now you want to be a cool parent. You want to be your kid's friend. You want to do all of those things, which ain't wrong because it's on a level. But you still need to know that they still need to know that there's discipline that you have to be about as a parent. You can't let them do this, that, and the third, because you understand what comes with doing that. So you have to play your parent role, and also it's a balance. You're their friend. You sit down, tell me about your day. Tell me what happened with this. Tell me what happened with that. So now, you're trying to get that fine balance as a parent. So my brother just, he, like I said, he probably was infatuated with what his friends was doing and this, that, and wasn't, coming home from school like he should. And then when he come home a day later or whatever later, would say, this is what happened or whatever happened. And my parents really didn't play that, I sent you to school, so why are you coming home 2 days later? Why are you coming home the next day? How many times is this going to happen? And then at some point now, how many times do a parent have to tell you something without you being on punishment, without you being grounded, without them having to say, look, you're going on the wrong path. I need to correct you, and this is how I'm going to correct you. At what point does that become a parent's job? It's always a parent's job, and they don't need to tell you why they're doing their job as a parent. They're just being a parent, knowing that these are the repercussions of you doing this. You may not know, you may not care, you may not understand, but because they're an adult, they have to do what they have to do in order to keep you out of trouble, because they hurt for you. Your parents don't have you, hold you out the womb and raise you up and hate you. No, they love you. They want to make sure you're good, you're strong. They want to be proud of you. They want to be able to tell their friends, my child is this, my child is doing this, that. They want to be proud of you, so that your parent don't hate you, your parent don't give up on you. You oftentimes give up on yourself because of the decisions you make. Like I said, by the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread. So they're trying to instill hard work ethic, and these things in you so that you can do those proper things in order to be a proper adult. So even in what I'm saying to you, sometimes I'm going to deviate a little bit just to give those things, because I'm always reminded of don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your gin and juice in the hood, when they would always say message, because they were giving pointers. They were saying, hey, this is something that you need to pay attention to. So even though I'm trying to give you the proper guidance of my particular situation and my particular story and things like that, I have to always, sometimes step aside and let you know some of these things, because as an adult, as a mature man, I understand that guidance, mentorship, and all of these different things is very important. I wasn't always in that frame of mind. It's an everyday struggle, real, to tell you the truth, to make sure that I stay even keeled and things like that. But that's some of the detours with even what I'm saying to you, though. But, that's what happened. And after about a year or so of being in America, our mom died. I think probably like 11. Like I said, I think I came to America when I was probably about 10. About a year or so later, our mom died. And I don't know what's going on. I'm young, I'm just used to seeing my mom, even if she's in the bed. And we go from there, in my brain, from there to a funeral. I'm not sure what my brother's frame of mind is at that point in time, or how they would look at it. I'm not even sure what my little sister's thinking, because she's probably around 4 or 5 years old. I'm not sure. So that now happens, and we're at the funeral, and all I remember is just walking around the funeral, wondering why people are crying. And I was probably stuck in my own world, because that's all I could remember. I just remember that part, and I just remember after the funeral asking, why is mom not coming with us? And I don't even remember who I asked or what they said. I just remember those distinctive things where I'm just walking around the funeral, and obviously no one's going to tell me to sit down or nothing like that. And after the funeral's over, everybody's leaving, and I'm just wondering, why is mom not coming with us? But after the funeral, so my dad, I'm quite, he's grieving, and, his wife died and all of these things. And he eventually, in his mind, he has to move on and forge a way for him and his 4 kids at that point, So he calls one of his friends, because we were staying with our aunt. And, he didn't want to stay over there. He wanted to be a man and have his own place, or, be renting somewhere where he can be a man. You want to be able to take care of your own and all of these things. So he called one of his friends and that had a restaurant, and he had some apartments above the restaurant, and asked him, could he rent a space from him upstairs, because there was no one up there. And his friend says yes, and he ends up taking all of us, and he didn't leave my sister, didn't leave any of us. He took all 4 of us and said, he's going to forge his way and build. So he's renting a space from his friend, and it's the 4 of us, and going to working long hours. My brother's, like I said, was a little bit older than me. My sister's young, so we're making sure she's okay. My brothers are cooking food, and feeding us and making sure we're okay going to school. But obviously, when dad's not home, brother stays out a little bit longer and things like that now. And looking back, maybe, he was hurt from, mom dying or what have you. Like I said, I can't really speak to that too much because we were all hurt, and I don't believe we all ever got a chance to really even say how we felt at the time. Even to this day, I don't believe we ever had a conversation on really how we all felt. We just know mom wasn't there. And about a year or so later, he introduced us to his lady friend, and I'm quite sure at that point in time there was a little rebellion from my older brothers. I'm not sure, like I said, I can't speak to that too much because we really didn't get into it a whole lot. But as we got older, we said a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I'm young, so I can't really get into the nuances of what I was thinking. I just know my mom is not there, and now this lady's here, and that's just what it is, So we end up moving again, and now the family's building and growing. My brother's in high school. We're in a different area. And now, whether that was the tipping or turning point in my brother, like I said, we never really spoke on it. Like I'm just looking back on certain things, and that's why I really don't try to react emotional in too many things, because as I got more mature, I was able to look back on things in a more rational way. My dad has 4 kids. He has a lady friend. They're trying to build in their new situation and help each other build and grow. And they're trying to make families merge. All of those things was going on. As I'm looking back now, I'm realizing that's kind of what was going on. We probably was looking at it as, here's this lady trying to replace mom, more so my brothers than me, because they're, like I said, they're older, so they may be able to look at it. They might have looked at it that way more so than me, because I'm 10 years old, 11 years old, so I couldn't really look at it that way as here's a woman trying to replace mom. I just know we have someone else in our space. They buy a house together and we move, and we're trying to, build a family and things. They're trying to build a family and things of that nature. Our job, my dad always told us, our job was just to go to school and get good grades. Don't worry about the bills. Don't worry about nothing other than going to school and getting good grades. That was just his number one thing, was just make sure you go to school, make sure you get good grades. Don't worry about the bills. Don't worry about none of these other things. That's just what you need to do. And as you look back as an adult now, you see that's kind of what your job is as a parent, to make sure your child know they have shelter, they have food, clothing, and things like that. But around this time now, my brother really started rebelling, because now he's not coming home, or he coming home when he feel like, all of these different things. And like I said, when I look back on it, I just be wondering whether it was he thought that, this woman's trying to replace mom, or whatever he was thinking or feeling, I'm not sure. But that's kind of what was going on at the time. So that would be the guidance with that, is that you try to sit down with your kids and let them know whether you're having a divorce, whether your spouse died or what have you. Try to give them as much guidance as you possibly can as to what happened, because you'll be surprised that they're able to really digest and understand what you're saying to them, they may be able to relate, especially in today's time where, because in those days there wasn't no internet, there was really none of that going on. So now, the kids are so more exposed to all kind of other things, with TVs, cartoons, and what have you. So they're more able to probably really understand the nuances of what you're trying to explain to them. Mom died, dad died, or we're getting a divorce, or however whatever your particular situation is. I would definitely recommend that you have a real good talk with your child to really kind of explain what's going on, what's the change, what's this change in the family dichotomy, what's the situation. Oftentimes it's uncle this, here's Mr. this or Miss that or what have you. We call our stepmom Miss. I really didn't want to get into saying people's name real too much in here, but because I have so much love for her because of all the great things she did for me and the family and things of that nature, I can't really have I don't say too, I don't have anything real negative to say because, like I said, I was young at the time, so I really didn't understand the dichotomy of what was going on. I just know that she did her best for us. She was hardworking, and did her part to provide for us and guide us and things like that. One of the things she always said to us was, "Be contented is great gain," and that always stuck with me. But I never knew what it meant at the time. But as I got more older and more mature, I realized what it was. It's if you don't have, be okay to do without. To be contented is great gain. So I don't have anything real negative to say, but I don't know what my brother's thought and feelings was at that time. I'm just looking back and just realizing the lashing out and the other things that was going on. And like I say, with all of what I'm saying to you, I'm just showing you the slow build up as to how it can go from here to there and everywhere if you don't really see the warning signs and you're able to address them. Nowadays we're more able to understand therapy, counseling, and things like that, and don't let it be a taboo. Sometimes you need counseling, sometimes you need family counseling, sometimes you need all of these different things in order to really get to the root cause of what's going on. And that's one of the main things I really try to do, and I'm doing with the I Ramble is we're trying to give you not just guidance, but we're trying to have a different we jokingly say it's a hodgepodge of entrepreneurs. We want to give you all different kind of entrepreneurs guidance, because a lot of these guidance overlap. So just because you're an architect, just because you're a banker, just because you opened up a hair salon, this, that, whatever it is you did, those guidance and principles, they overlap. So even if you don't want to open any of those things, they're still tried and true principles that you adhere to. So that, we reached out to some counselors. We had Ms. Dabney on there, and she was able to give some great guidance in counseling. And our last episode, I believe this one's going to be 37. We had Miss Carter. She has great guidance in terms of just how to be positive and keep all negative thoughts out your thinking, and you get what you create. So looking back and realizing a whole lot of things, we reached out to a lot of different counselors and things like that to be able to let you know that getting counseling, getting therapy, none of those things should be taboo. They should be basic, and if you ever need it, you should be able to seek it, gain it, and build and grow from it, and just make sure you get to the root cause of whatever the problem is, because if you don't get to the root cause, you're going to always be in that rinse and repeat cycle of just doing the same thing over and over again, trying to gain a different result, and that's not what you really want to do. So if you ever need counseling, if you're ever going through all of these things, please get your counseling, please get your guidance, please seek help. And if you feel any type of depression, anxiety, all of these different things, just make sure you gain the guidance, gain some counseling, gain some help from professionals that are versed in all of those things to help you through it. But like I said, sometime with what I'm telling you, we're going to do a little sidebar in terms of, telling you these different things. But that's part of what we do with I Ramble, man. We try to just give you some guidance in order to help you to be successful, bridge the learning curve, make sure that, you understand that this is a relay race. You run it as far as you can, and make sure you slow down and pass the baton to the next one, and make sure they get that baton, because if they drop it, that's where that disconnect come in, So it's a relay race. You want to make sure you slow down and pass that the baton on to the next generation, and don't be afraid that they're going to run past you or further than you, because that's what this is. You're going to take it but so far, and then some ingenuity, all of these things are going to come into play, and they're going to be able to take it further than you. That's just how it should be. It's a natural progression in life, or what have you. But at this point now, my brother is really starting to rebel and things like that. And now he's rebelling on a different level, because now when you decide that you want to live a lifestyle other than work or school and gaining the education to go build yourself and do whatever it is profession that you choose to do in life, you decide that there's probably a shortcut, and the shortcut is this, a shortcut is that. You just got to understand what comes with those shortcuts. It's that learning curve. If you don't know, you're going to fall victim to this, that, and the third, because you're not adhering to tried and true principles. You're not, doing things in a proven manner. So now he's getting himself into consistent trouble at this point, because he's in high school. I'm in junior high school. So now he's getting himself into consistent trouble now. And our parents aren't happy at all, and it's not just consistent trouble now. The consistent trouble now become a danger to the house, a danger to the family, because when you start living a certain lifestyle, you don't understand how it affects everyone else in the house or everyone else in the family that loves you, thinking about you, care about you, and all these different things. You're just doing what you want to do or doing what you think is good or right or what have you, but it does affect everyone else in the house. So now he start, living that real street life where it now becomes a danger, a problem to the household. So, our dad sat us down in the room and had a talk with the boys and said, look, the thing that you're doing is affecting the house. You're not being a good example to your brother. You're not being a good example to the house. And you're not just that, you're now being a danger to the house because how you're living. Because it wasn't that he's just living this particular lifestyle. he's actually out there robbing kids in the neighborhood. And now once you're robbing the kids in the neighborhood, now you're not caring about how it affects the house. You're not even caring about how it affects your parents when now they're at the PTA, at whatever parent gathering that goes on, and the other parents are saying, oh, this is what your child is doing. You know, and like I say, all I'm saying is things that we're trying to guide you with. My brother's a grown man, you know, I'm a grown man, so we're just looking back and trying to give you some proper guidance on how to keep your kids, keep your family members, niece, nephews, aunties, whoever, from deviating or getting into a lifestyle that now become a detriment to the family structure, because maybe they don't know, they're not paying attention, or not realizing that now what you're doing now affect the family structure. So he has that talk with us in the room and telling them, you know, the trouble you're getting in now, it's affecting the house. Now we're spending the money for rent on this. Now we're spending the money for this on that. And you're putting the house and family at risk. So he's living that lifestyle, and as you get to a certain point or a certain age where when you're living that lifestyle, it becomes a natural thinking or thought for some reason. I don't want to hear that from my parents. I don't want to keep hearing this, that. So now you start thinking a man make money instead of money makes you a man instead of a man make money. So now I can go get money this way, that way, or what have you, and I'm a man, where that's not the case. So oftentimes when I even talk to friends of mine and parents that have kids and things like that, we always talked about the fact that, oh, just because your child is 18 or 21 don't mean that you gotta tell them leave the house or nothing like that. If they don't have skills of de-escalation, if they don't have skills of problem solving, conflict resolution, how to have a bank account, all of these different things are things that you need to teach your kids and have for them to be an adult. So if they don't have those skills, they don't necessarily need to be put out the house because they're 18 or what have you. You have to be, you know, consistently guide them and tell them all of these different things so that they know that that's how an adult operate, that's how an adult conduct themselves, and that's just what you would like your child to do once you have children. That's what you would like them to do. You want them to be able to have conflict resolution. You don't want them to be out there arguing with somebody and all of a sudden they can't de-escalate the argument because they got to prove this or prove that. You know, so all of these things, you know, are principles that you teach them as they grow. And if they still have a problem even adhering to, understanding, or things like that, then, you know, you don't necessarily got to push them out the nest. It's a somewhat of a conundrum because you want to have them be an adult at a certain age and point, but yet still if they don't get it or don't got it, you don't want to push them out because you know the trouble they can get into if they don't get it and got it. So it's one of those things where in your particular situation you gotta just pray on it and dig deep and realize, okay, what do I need to do better in order to convey this message? Am I doing my best as a parent? Am I showing them proper guidance? Am I doing it? So you got to do some self-searching yourself, and then also realize you don't got to really talk too loud. You know, it's levels to how you approach that part of the program. But I know my dad above and beyond went that way with my brother. I know my dad never gave up on any of his kids. Ever. He's a person where he gives you the abundance of his love to make sure that you are someone that can be proud of yourself before he's proud of you, because he knows that when you get it, you get it. So he's trying to make sure you're proud of yourself so he can be proud of you, so that his friends, family, everybody can be proud of what your growth and things like that. So he has never given up on any of his kids ever. If anything, I could say that my brother gave up on himself because of the lifestyle that he chose, and it was a choice that he chose because he had nothing but the example of hardworking parents. My stepmom worked as a nurse. She worked 16-hour shifts, trying to pick up any shift. A nurse had an emergency, couldn't work or what have you. She's trying to pick up that shift so that she can have extra money to be able to have the bills ready for next month. She want to be able to for us to go, King's Dominion, Wild World. They tried their best to make sure we had enough that we weren't, needing, lacking, or anything like that. Like I said, her number one thing was to be contented. It's great game. But through doing hard work, you can gain extra by that hard work, So that was one of the number one prevailing things. So he had nothing but the example of hard work. He just chose that that's the lifestyle that he'd like to do. So at this point now, he's robbing dudes in the neighborhood, and I only speak to things that affect me. So it's not a going back and forth with my brother. Once I realized he was trying to discredit me, slander me, and say all these other things behind me, I was never going to go back and forth with him because, one, I never wanted to add to no shame in my family. I never wanted to give the hard work that my aunt and uncle did that filed for us any kind of blemish, because they live I like to say it wasn't a 9 to 5. They did a 5 to 9 work. Like they would get up early in the morning, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, to prep and get ready to go work. They're entrepreneurs, and that's the same thing with my dad and stepmom. I may get up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're getting ready to go to work. So we had nothing but the example of hard work. So it's really a lifestyle. It's really a choice that you make that end up getting you off the path that you were supposed to be on. So at this point now, because you're easier to rob people in your area and people and things like that. So now he's robbing his friends and things like that. So now his friends' brothers got problems with me. So now I'm having to deal with that particular issues on a consistent basis. So one day I'm on the bus, we're going to school. Dude come up to me, he say, look, such and such want to fight you after school. I was like, who? And he says, such and such. And I'm like, for what? He's like, yeah, your brother robbed his brother, and now he want to fight you after school. Like, man, what do I have to do with that? I wasn't there. I don't have nothing to do with it. But that's just how those things go. One week, last week, the week before, we all friends. We all go down to the same basketball court after school. We have no problem with nothing. But because of how my brother conducted himself, this is what's trickling down. And like I say, all that I'm saying is showing you the slow build up where it go from the disconnect of being infatuated with not being content or lashing out or not wanting to hear the guidance of your parents or what have you, lead you to do these other things and not realizing how it affect everyone else. So this is the things that's going on now. So he's not realizing that because of his actions over here, I now have to deal with it over there. So now, after school, we're on the bus, and pride kind of kick in, because you don't want to go like, oh, why you want to fight me? What are you talking about? This, that, and the third. You like, you want to fight? You want to fight? And it ended up going like that. But like I said, my dad always taught me that I went to school to learn. I didn't go to school to argue, fight, because I used to argue and fight when I was younger after our mom died. When anybody made a your mom joke or this, that, my mom is dead. So when someone says something about your mom, now I'm mad and angry. I get in trouble. They call my mom, my dad, and whatever. And you're like, look, how long you gonna keep fighting with somebody over your mom? Your mom is not here. You don't need to fight and argue. Stop. If they say something, don't pay attention. But, you know, he can tell me that, but then when I'm there and they're making a joke and everybody else is laughing, it goes a different way. So after school, you know, the pride kick in, and this dude said, yeah, we're going to fight because of this, what your brother did or whatever. So, okay, all right, look, man, I had nothing to do with it. Why we got to fight? I don't want to hear that. Ooh. So, all right, so we fighting, and his friends are over there. I got one of my homeboys over there, this, that. I have built up aggression and anger because my mom is dead, and you know, now when I look back on it, I realize that's kind of a lot of what that was. I had built up aggression and I had anger and things like that. So if you want to fight, I have no choice because you're going to fight. So you get into a fight. It wasn't going his way. So now his friends want to fight. Now all his friends want to fight. And there it's four or five of them. Me, my friend grabbed me, and we just, let's go, and we start running, and they chasing us, man. And they chased us all the way up. We were probably about 5-6 streets from where we live. I run to the house, man. I'm winded, huffing and puffing, and my cousin was in the house. Oftentimes, that's another thing why my parents used to always tell my brothers about how he was affecting the house was, you know, we always had someone staying with us. We always had family members staying with us because that's just how our house was. We always had somebody staying with us. You know, my parents gave them like 6 months rule. We could stay with us for 6 months, pay no bills or nothing like that. You know, just get a job, save your money. We'll help you find a place to stay. You know, if you want to work with my dad, you can work with him. He'll pay you, save your money. If you can find a job at a store or whatever, work, save your money. You got to pay for nothing, no food, no bills or nothing. And then in 6 months, we're able to help you get a place to stay. You know, it's kind of like a build-yourself program, kind of. So we always had someone staying with us. So we had my cousin staying with us at the time. And it was a girl, and she's probably like 3 years older than me, man. And I'm running into the house, winded. And she's like, what's going on? What happened? And I told her what happened. She's like, what? She said, no, come on, let's go. And we went back outside, down to where by the bus stop where they was. And they were still there, you know, talking and what have you. And she's like, who have a problem with my cousin? Why y'all trying to beat him up? Why's this? What's going on? And they're looking at her like, you're a girl, you know, why, you know, talking, you know, kind of tough to her at the time or whatever. And then one of them guys stepped up. Yeah, I got a problem with him. His brother, you know, got in saying what happened or whatever. And she's like, well, he didn't do this and that. And the dude, I don't want to say pushed her, but just approached her very hard, heavy like, and she just whirlwind all of them. Listen, she whirlwind all of them because they thought she was a girl and she couldn't do this and that. But she was like, that's my cousin. Y'all gonna leave him alone? And all of them, man, she whirlwind them and they just took off running. And you know, I love my cousin for that because she you know, she didn't play that. She was the one cooking the food for us when our parents was working. She's the one helped making sure we did the laundry and all of these different things, man. And she just, made sure everything went. I didn't have any problem with those guys because of what had happened. And about 2-3 weeks later, the same thing happened again with another dude on the bus. Yeah, your brother did this. So such and such wanna fight you after school. Like, man, so now this is all trickling down again. Different dude, because we all live in a neighborhood that they all dudes know each other, but this is what he's running around doing. So he's not there to realize, oh yeah, you come back to the neighborhood and do this, but then now their younger brother now have a problem with me because of what you did to their older brother. So same situation after school. We get into it, and like I said, at that point, now when I look back, that's why I'm not like I'm a proponent of counseling and things like that, because when you have built up and pent up anger and aggression, these are the things that happen. You sometimes lose sight of the de-escalation. You sometimes lose sight of the conflict resolution because you're angry, you're upset, because you didn't get a chance to deal with it, vent, or say whatever you needed to say in order to actually, get that off your chest and mind. And I had to learn that thing with what the situation that went on with my brother that I'm gonna talk about in a few minutes, where I was self-traumatizing myself. I wasn't able to function because I never got a chance to really say it, where I can fully deal with it, get past it, and know that my yesterday don't affect my today. The only real is today, the moment. So I kept, every day waking up self-traumatizing myself. So because I'm more mature now, I'm able to look back on what happened in those times where I had pent up and built up anger and aggression, where I probably could have said A, B, and C, even though that guy still was wanting to fight anyway. But I don't know what I probably could have said differently anyway, to tell you the truth. But it probably was going to be what it was going to be at that point in time. So now it's a different dude, same situation. My brother robbed his older brother, and he's telling me he heard it because they downstairs in their basement talking, and his brother mad, and this, that, and the third. And I'm asking him, we all play basketball together every week. We all had, I didn't do it, I had nothing to do with it, so why do we have a problem? But, he didn't want to hear that at that point in time. So we get into it. I'm not going to say I got the best of him or anything like that, but same situation happened now. Now his friends is like, yo, now they want to get into it and get mad and what have you. Same friend that was with me, got me, pulled me. Once he saw that was going on, and here we go again, rinse and repeat. Here we are running up the block again from the fight from these dudes. And this time now, when I got to the house, my dad, like I said, is 9 to 5, or he a 5 to 9er. Like, he's up early, 5 in the morning, going to work till 9 o'clock at night or whatever. But for some reason, he was at the house probably around 4 or somewhere in that time frame, man. And he's outside, and I'm running up to the house, and he's like, what happened? What's going on? Why are you running? What's going on with them boys? Because I'm by the house. There's like two houses between our house and the corner. So he saw those kids turning the corner. He said, what? He said, listen, you never let nobody chase you to the house. You don't you pick up a stick, you pick up a rock, you don't let them chase you. You hit one of them, and the rest of them run. Don't make them chase you. Now go back over there, and you make sure you don't make them boys make you run. I'm like, Dad, you don't realize what's going on. Even if I do that, by the time I get off the bus tomorrow, it's gonna be like, okay, cool, all right. So he adamant, he not playing that. He like, no, you gonna go back over there. So I run back down there. They still standing there. I grab a rock. I start throwing the rock. I pick up a stick. I start running at them with the stick, and then they all was running. So I didn't chase them. What am I gonna chase them for? But what's the point in that right there at that time? So I go back to the house, and he said, yes, you don't make them boys chase you. If they want to do whatever you pick up a rock, you pick up a stick. If you don't let them do that. So that was the rinse and repeat. That's the cycle. That's the lifestyle that he's living, and not realizing that how it's trickling down and how it's affecting the house. And that's when I realized the conversation that my dad was having with him. When we was talking, it was like, you're deciding not to go to school. You're deciding that this is what you want to do, but you're not realizing how this affects the house. You're not realizing how it affects how the other parents in the neighborhood are looking at our parents and things like that. So, like I said, all that I'm giving you and what I'm saying is what I went through, my story. I'm not speaking to hyperboles or anything like that. I'm just trying to give you some proper guidance so you can know that you don't have to live those lifestyles. I work in construction work, and I work with a lot of people who live those lifestyles and always tell me, man, they make more money now doing the building, the houses, doing all these different things. Had they known different then, they wouldn't have made those choices. So a lot of things that you got to do is give kids options to be able to deviate or deter them from choosing that lifestyle. But that was the lifestyle that my brother chose, and didn't realize how much it was affecting the house, how much it was affecting me at the time, how much it was affecting just the people that were staying with us. 'Cause like I said, we always had people staying with us, and those people that you was robbing and doing all those different things to, they know our neighborhood, they know our parents. So you can just imagine, at a PTA meeting, the parents, and this, that, and the third. So all of those things was going on. So, I haven't seen my brother for a while at that point in time, because he was, here, there, and everywhere doing whatever he was doing. I just know how it was trickling back down and affected me at that point in time. So the next time this happened, because that wasn't the first, the third, or that wasn't the first, the second, or the third. So it didn't happen. And when I went to high school now, because now he had issues with some other dudes in the neighborhood. Our school was kind of neighborhood up, like it had 4 or 5 areas in our school. So now I'm in the school where they had a thing called Go Hard, where it was some certain neighborhoods, they just go hard because of whatever was going on in their neighborhood. Everybody in their neighborhood was just about that, like, you know what I'm saying? They had certain neighborhoods where obviously it was a middle class neighborhood that didn't go hard, or probably really wasn't into that because of their parents, or however the case may be. Not sure, but they just had certain neighborhood that was like that, and then he had a beef with some neighborhood that was like that. And I'm in the cafeteria, and the dude come up to me like, "Yo, same scenarios," because me and my brother look alike. So that would be like the number one thing. It wasn't like it was. They had to guess or wonder or anything like that, So the kid come up to me, he was like, yo, my folks got beef with your brother, and it wasn't even actually the dude, it was one of his friends, and he was like, yo, my homeboy, after school, he want to fight you, because in those days, I don't know how it really go now, kids was not really, even when they wanted to fight, they really didn't fight too much in school. There was like an area behind the school or area down the street that y'all would go fight, and where no one would get suspended or something like that. It was just that kind of frame of mind. I don't know, I'm not sure how these kids, kids get active nowadays or what have you, but I'm not sure if they even do things like that in these days of time. But when we was in school, it was like, okay, 3 o'clock by the flagpole or whatever, it was down the street, and y'all would, fight one-on-one or whatever it was. But he was like, yeah, man. And it wasn't him. It was his homeboy who said that or whatever. So it didn't work out after school that particular day. I'm not sure why or what have you. But I was able to call my brother at that particular time and tell him, like, look, these dudes from this neighborhood over here, I don't even remember what it was, man. It might have been Landover. I'm not even sure at this time where exactly that neighborhood was, because we had like probably about 6-7 neighborhoods in our school at that time. But whatever, I called him and said, look, man, this kid from here said you did this to his folk and whatever. And he came up to the school the next day at lunchtime. No, before that though, the day when the kid approached me, my homeboy was there. He was an older kid. He was like 1 year older than us. He went to Project Upgrade, and Project Upgrade is really we was in 7th grade, so that 7th, 8th is middle school, and he went to Project Upgrade, so he skipped 8th grade and went to 9th grade. So by the time we got to high school, he was already there in 10th grade. So he knew everybody in school, popular, this, that, and the third, but we knew him because he lived in our neighborhood. So when he saw the dude, talking tough to me or whatever was going on, he came over and he was like, what's going on? What? No, you ain't, none of this is going on. Nah, this is my homeboy. None of that's going on or whatever. So he calmed it down that day. So I think that's why I thought everything was cool. Then it happened again the next day. So I saw that dude was like, because your homeboy ain't here. Nah, it's still on. So my homeboy had calmed it down that day. But then when I ran into them the other day in school or whatever, they was like, no, I don't care what your homeboy say. Yeah, we still got beef because of what happened. And I'm like, man, I had nothing to do with it. I don't even, know what you talking about. But, I can't control their brain and what they're thinking at that point in time. So I'm doing just like, okay, tomorrow or whatever. So I called my brother the next day and I was like, look, man, this is what's going on here. They said you did this. And he's like, okay, I'm going to come up there tomorrow and straighten it out. So next day he came up to the school at lunchtime. Because me and the dude, the school we went to, when you had recess, you was able to go outside and kind of really almost wander off for real. You can go, you can kind of wander off, and some kids would just wander off and don't come back to school for the rest of the day. So we was outside, and my brother came to the school. And dude, he's like, where these dudes at from whatever neighborhood? And I was like, yeah, that's them over there. So he went over to them. He's like, look, man, you got a problem with my brother? Yeah, no. And they was basically trying to calm it down at that particular point in time because they saw my older brother there. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of calmed it down. He's like, look, man, my brother had nothing to do with it. You better leave him alone. Don't make me come back up here. This type of situation. And that got squashed and it was left alone. And me and them, we never became cool or nothing like that, but we never had any problems after that. But this was this was 9th grade. So my brother ripping and running, I ain't seen him for years and whatever till I was about to graduate. So I saw him when we were after I was about to graduate. Then I didn't see him again for a while because, he's ripping and running, doing whatever it is that he's doing and things like that. So the next time I see him, I'm graduated, I'm working, and, me and my homeboys, we trying to figure out what we trying to do. We probably was about, I think, 22, 23, something like that. And he called me up. He was like, where are you at? And I was like, I'm over by my friend's house. No, I'm on my way to my friend's house. He came by my friend's house with his homeboy. And at that point in time, man, me and my friends, we young, we 23, 22. We trying to figure it out. We all we do, we go to work, call each other up after work, find out which house we're going to meet at, his house, my house, or my other homeboys, 3 of us. We're trying to find out whose house we're going to meet at. And whoever house we're going to meet at, the other 2 would stop and buy the food and that we're going to cook. Because we would cook every day. We would cook every day after school. We would cook every day after work at each other's house. We just took turns. And whoever house it was, they didn't have to buy nothing. The other 2 would buy the food, bring it over, so we wouldn't have to be in in the kitchen using up the food that was there for the house or whatever. So, that's just what we was doing. We would just meet at each other's house, play Mortal Kombat, Madden, and NBA Live, and that's just what we did every day. Because we trying to figure it out. We were all working 9 to 5 jobs. Like, we're not sure what we trying to do with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But we all working, knowing what we got to work or whatever. So he come to meet me at my friend's house. We meet over there. He got his homeboy with him, and he chilled for hours and there, and we all chilling. And he leave, and he was like, all right, man, I'm out. I'll see y'all tomorrow or whatever. So he come back the next day, but this time he's by himself. So he by himself, and we all doing the same thing. We cooking. We call it running a boat. We just cooking and running the pot, and that we just took turns, like I said, just cooking at each other's house. So, but my one homeboy, he had an apartment. My other homeboy had a basement apartment in his parents' house, and I'm staying with my sister. So that's just the circle that we was in. So we all trying not to stay. We trying to stay out of the refrigerator of where we staying. So everybody would bring the food, and we would just cook, not to affect the refrigerator of the house or wherever we were staying. But we would oftentimes be at my one homeboy house because he had an apartment with his girlfriend. We were doing that so much that our girlfriends just all became friends and started hanging out, because that was just our routine. We just playing video games, hanging out after work, and our girlfriends just became friends because of that type of situation. But he came back the next day, and he's like, yo, his money messed up and this, that, and the third. So he asked me and my homeboy if we'd help him. He said, yo, I wanna rob my homeboy. He didn't say it like that, but he was like, he probably said eat his food or something like that. However it went, he was like, yo. So we look at each other. It was just me and my homeboy there. My other friend wasn't there at the time. He was like, no, fam, no. What are you talking about? You was just here with him all day, every day, yesterday, and you hang with him all day, every day, and you asking us to rob him? No, man. And my friend looked at me real strange, like, yo, okay, this is crazy. So he's like, all right, don't worry about it. So we ain't paying no mind, So a couple hours later on, he was like, yo, my money just messed up, yo. Help me get on my feet. Hey, y'all dudes, help me get on my feet. He shot us a story about, if we lend him this much money, he'd give us back this much money next week, and all this, that, and the third. And he just made it sound so good because he was always able to talk like that. So at the end of him talking this, that, we was like, okay, man, we'll lend you the money. How much you need? So we probably lend them about probably like 1,000 or 1,500 between the two of us, because we was just 9 to 5 working. So it ain't like we had a whole bunch of money stacked up or nothing like that. We just probably had 1 or 2 paychecks each or something like that. But where he made it sound is like, okay, if we lend him this, we'll get back this next week. So he was like, all right. Hindsight, we should have known better from what he asked us the day earlier in the day. But you know, that's just naivete and just being young and stupid, and looking up to someone we shouldn't have looked up to, and thinking, you know, what he's saying was real and true. But that's just what we were thinking at that time, man. We was like, okay, we lend you this much money, and you give us, say, probably $500 each back or whatever. All right, cool. You lend him the money. Next week he come with a story about how the money got messed up, this, that, and man, we looked at each other like, all right, man, we both looked at each other with the we don't believe this face. But what can we do? We young, he older than us, we can't prove it, so what can we really do at this particular point in time? So either way, he tell us the story, we can't do nothing about it or whatever. So he leave, and me and my homeboy get to talking, and my homeboy say, oh, listen, let's call such and such, that his girlfriend. Let's call her and ask her what happened, because he had involved her in what the story and how it got messed up. Then I'm thinking, I think he called her. So he called her, and we're both sitting there talking to her, and he asked her, he's like, listen, this is what he said. He definitely called her, because he wanted to make sure, because he had laughed and joked before. He said, like, listen, man, what's going on? Is he trying to get over, or you both trying to get over? I'm like, listen, Bridget, I lost my money just like you did. I don't even know what you're talking about. You never see me and him running around hanging out, so I don't know why you would even think that. So I'm just mad. I'm as mad as you are. So he called her, and we on the phone, and she's telling us, she's like, no, that's not what happened. Whether she lost money too because he asked her for money or whatever, she told us exactly what happened. And so now we both mad. We're like, oh my goodness, we ain't gonna get our money back. Mind you, he living in an apartment where he gotta pay rent now. So now he gotta tell his girl did whatever, and we both out of our money. So now we call him, and we like, listen, she said this and told us that that's not what happened, and that's not true. And obviously he told us, no, she's lying, and that is what happened. But once again, what can we do? We can't prove the shit. We can't prove it. And we young boys at the time, so what can we do? What we gonna do? Get mad? And other than get mad, what we gonna do? So we both mad. We realize we're not gonna get our money back. So now at this point, I had just bought a car before this, a couple of weeks or something like that. I had saved up my money, called my brother-in-law, and I told him, I have $5,000 and I'm trying to buy a car. Can you help me out? He said, yeah, my friend got a car dealership. We'll go down there and you can get something from him. So we go down to his car dealership. I couldn't afford anything he had down on his car dealership. The only thing he had down there in my price range was like a MR2. And I think he wanted probably about $7,000 for it. And had I known now what I knew then, was I probably could have financed it and start to build credit. But I didn't want a car note, because I was just in my brain, I was thinking, man, I don't want to pay no car note. I don't want to pay no car note. I can get a car for $5,000. So his friend said, okay, you give me $500, I'll take you to the car dealership. I'll take you to the auction. and then you can buy something for $4,500. And I said, all right, cool, because I'm thinking $4,500. It's not too much less than $5,000, and I must can get something decent for that. So we went to the auction. I bought the car. Man, I'm just happy about the car, and I don't have no car note. And my homeboy, we call him Music, because like I said, we're really gonna get into no names of people, man, because in what's going on, people, you know, have moved on. They're growing up, they're mature, they got kids and families. So I really didn't want to bring anybody's name up in what we talking about. Like I said, we're just giving you guidance on how not to put yourself in situations where, you know, someone will use you, take advantage of you. So all of this just kind of play back into the whole purpose of the podcast. It's like we're just trying to give you proper guidance so that when you're starting your business, you can put your best foot forward. No one can mislead you, misguide you, take advantage of you, or anything like that. So that's the real premise of the I Ramble. It's just to give you some tried and true strategies so you don't get yourself in a situation where you're spending money and not getting a return on your investment because you didn't realize that it was better spent here, there, and anywhere. So I buy the car. I don't have to pay no insurance or what have you. My homeboy, like I said, we call him Music for this. And he said, man, I got some chrome rims at the house. I'll trade you those factory rims on there for these chrome rims. So I'm like, wow, you know, at that point, this is what, 98. I'm like, oh man, of course, man, chrome rims. So I traded in the rims that was on the car for those rims, and I'm feeling good now. I have a car. I have no car note. This, that. I'm on a great path. I'm working. Man, I'm gonna build. Me and my homeboy, we happy. He got his apartment. He got his girlfriend. He got his own car. Like, man, we just feeling like we gonna just do good. We just gonna do good. All we trying to figure out is what we gonna do as a career. At that point, we just know we working, but we just don't know what we want to do on like a forever level. We just trying to figure that out, and in the midst of that, we just hanging out, playing PlayStation. But we just know we're building in a good way. So my brother come by, he borrowed my car. He, you know, bring it back when he feel like. If he feel like, my homeboy taking me to go pick it up wherever he got it, and things like that. And then one day he came back with the car. He's like, man, this is not what you need to be driving. You need to be driving this. And I'm thinking in my mind, I just bought this car. I'm good with this car. I don't even need no. Next day he borrowed a car. He take it to the car dealership. He trade the car in, forge my signature, and then bring back this Acura Legend. He's like, yo, this is what you need to be driving. It's like, man, what? Man, I didn't know what to say what to say at the time. You know what I'm saying? Because it's your older brother, and it's one of those dichotomy, big brother, older brother. You be looking up to your big brother, older brother, because you know they can reach the cookie jar on top of the fridge before you. They can stay out later than you. Like, you looking up to them on levels until you get older and realize certain levels you were looking up to them on, you shouldn't have been, because you ain't know no better. Right? So when he say that, I'm like, man, I don't want this car. Can't afford this car. But, you know, he's going to say whatever he say, and I'm not going to be able to say nothing about it at the time. And now looking back, it's like I said, when I said, you know, in a couple of episodes, it's having the adulthood, having the knowledge of knowing that saying no is an option. Like, no, I don't want this car. You know what I'm saying? So when he brought the car back the next day, I called my homeboy up. I said, look, I'm going to come by your house. Let's drive down to the car dealership and tell him I want my car back. He was like, all right, cool, just pick me up. So I picked him up. We drove down to the car dealership, like an hour and a half away or whatever. So we drove down to the car dealership, man. I pulled in the dealership and I'm like, look, my brother forged my signature. You know I wasn't here, and I would just like my car back. He said, man, I can't give you your car back. He said you agreed to it. And I'm like, man, in today's time, it would be totally different. There was just all kind of different recourse that could have happened or what have you. But in those days, it's 98, so and we young boys, so we don't realize, you know. The only thing I know I did and could have did, which I did, I called the Better Business Bureau. I don't even remember how I knew about them at that time, man. But I called the Better Business Bureau and I was like, and I told them what happened. I told them, you know, they said, listen, one, we can't do nothing about that for real because that's a different side of it. But two, because the car was in an accident. And that's what I was calling them about. I was like, he sold us a car that was in an accident and didn't tell us about it. And they said, certain states don't got to tell you whether the car was in an accident or not. That's just the state law or whatever. So he didn't have to tell us what's in the accident. So there was nothing he violated in terms of their protocol per se, you know. So they couldn't help us with it. They couldn't help me with, you know, getting my car back. So we go back down there again the next day. I'm like, come on, man. You know I didn't sign this contract for this car. Let me, and at whole time thinking, okay, he know I didn't sign the contract for the car. He gonna just give me my car back. He can have his car back. I'll have my car back. And we'll start at scratch. But, you know, he's in it to sell cars. He ain't trying to give me my car back. So now I'm stuck with this car. The car is $700 and I want to say it was $425 car note. I had to get full coverage insurance. So it was like probably like $780. It was somewhere in that neighborhood, man. It was almost $800 a month. And that's what I make a month. My job paid me $400 every 2 weeks. So now I'm making $800 a month. I'm paying $700 something a month for this car. I can't afford it. You know, I already know that. Even if I couldn't afford it, now I don't have no gas money. I don't have no extra to do nothing because I'm paying $700 and something a month. All right, so I'm stuck with this car. At that point, you know, what can I do? You know, they won't take the car back. So a couple of days later on, he called me. He's like, yo, I'm by my baby mother's house. Can you pick me up and take me over there? You know, I'm still young and stupid. You know, I can't get my car back. What I'm gonna do? Be mad at him? And I'm mad at him. Whatever, you know. So I pick him up. I don't know, remember where I took him to. May have been a store or something like that. But we ended up picking up my other friend that I normally just hang out with at his house, you know, at his apartment. I normally, you know, that's where we normally be at most days. So I go pick him up, and we might have went to get some food or something like that, and we're going back to the house. Cars is before I even get to there, I went and picked up my homeboy like a couple of days before that or something like that, and we went to a restaurant, and me and him is there. We in there about to get some food, and it's one of them restaurants where it have the bells on the door, so when they open in, it's like bling bling or whatever. So The door ring. We turn around. We look. It's this dude, and we both know this dude because once again, rinse and repeat. From I was in high school. Now I'm a little bit older. My brother had robbed this dude, and everybody knew the situation. And now, me and my homeboy is looking at this dude in his eyes, and this dude is straight is that dude. So he's with two dudes. It's me and my homeboy. We 23. This dude is a grown man. Me and my dude ain't street dudes. We, like I said, we 9 to 5 working dudes. We looking at each other like, man, look at this. Like, what we gonna do? Man, order the food, and we in line. We just there waiting. We look at each other. He say, man, forget this food. We turn around. The main dude that we knew stood by there. Everybody knew this dude in the neighborhood, knew who he is and what he do and all of that stuff, man. His other two dudes ran across the street. So me and my homeboy looking at each other like, okay, oh man. So we like, forget the food. Let's go. We walked out the store. Dude stood by the door, but the parking for the store is so strange that you got to park across the street because it's always filled up in front of the street, in front of the store. There's never nothing right there. There's never no parking right there. So you always got to park across the street because that parking lot is kind of big, but it's only a one-way in parking lot. So they ran across the street to get their car, but what they didn't realize at the time is that we parked over there too. So when they ran over there to get their car to come out the parking lot to come around to the front of the store, we just ran across the street to our car. So they got to drive around the front of the store to go pick their homeboy up. But we're running across the street to get in our car. So we ran across the street, get in our car, and we driving out the parking lot, just going the other way. They bucking a U coming up, and the two roads merged together. It's just how it is. It's just how it was situated. Where the road they driving up and the road we leaving out the parking lot, they end up just eventually just merging together. So we driving, we behind two cars in the parking and at the light. They're bucking the U. We like, man, this light can just hurry up and turn. The light finally turned, but listen to me, man. It just happened where it turned and they merged right behind us. And we just don't even know what to do. We just driving, man. We speeding up. They behind us. Every turn we make, they make. Every turn we make, they make. And this went on for a good 20 minutes or so, man. Both our hearts. I know his heart beating. I don't know. I know my heart beating, and I'm quite sure his was. We just driving 20 minutes. Every turn we make, it just so happened by the grace of God, all the lights was green, and we end up getting over there by a neighborhood that we just knew well, and we knew it well because some of the streets in that neighborhood is one-way streets, and we just driving up this street, and we just got to a street that was a one-way street, and they couldn't see us, and he was like, just turn down the street, and we turned down the one-way street, and it just so happened they wasn't able to see us because they was a bit behind us, so they couldn't see that we turned down that one-way street. So we turned down the one-way street, and that's the only way them dudes didn't see us, man, because we ended up going down the one-way street and then coming up the main street of the neighborhood and was able to get back to the main street of like the highway, and we never saw them dudes again, man. But it was just no telling what would have happened, man. And we know that dude for what he do in the neighborhood. Everybody knew this dude, and we knew at the time what the problem was, man, and it was just one of those trickle-down things again. So once again, what I'm telling you and showing you is how it build up from not going to school, not paying attention in school, not trying to hear what your parents got to say, and how you think that just being out there in the world and doing whatever you got to do leads you to do a bunch of things that you just don't need to do, instead of just working hard, because that's the example that you got from your parents. Because our parents was, I'm telling you, just hard-working people. Our stepmom was a hard-working woman. So we have nothing but guidance from what hard work is. There ain't no shortcuts and things like that, you know what I'm saying? Oftentimes when you're taking a shortcut, you cutting through somebody's grass, somebody's yard, and things like that, you know what I mean? You got to walk around the corner, walk around the block. You taking these shortcuts and all of these different things, thinking that that's the way you gonna get some money. No, those things are always oftentimes gonna get you in trouble. So that's why I'm giving you this build up from start to finish of my particular situation, so you can really see how these things just play out from start to finish. You know, don't just clap back and react in an emotional manner. That's oftentimes what people want you to do when they try to discredit you, slander you, say things about you, try to get proxy wars against you, all of these different things that they trying to do to make you crumble, to make you fold and all of that. Don't feed into that. You know, I got to a maturity level and a maturity point that I'm trying to seek the Most High God, you know what I'm saying? So while the Most High is teaching me and telling me certain things, one of the things he was telling me and showing me was, don't react emotional. Don't just get into this clap back situation. You on the clock, you need to say this, because oftentimes what you're gonna do is react in an emotional manner, and you won't be able to give proper guidance if that's what you're trying to do. So I kept having to realize that I need to be still and know that he's God, and know that he's working through me like an avatar, as he worked through us, all of us as an avatar, to manifest himself through us for us to know and be our best. So while I know, I end up realizing that my big brother was trying to slander me, was trying to paint me in a light, in different lights and pictures like that, and was trying to get people to end up to do that too as well. I had to realize I had to be still and know that he is God, and know that he's working through all of us to save all of us, you know. So that's kind of one of the lessons and things that I was learning from as I was growing and maturing. And then once I realized what he was doing, he had to speed up the process of what he was doing too, because he realized I wasn't going to fall back and I wasn't going to crumble or fold. So he had to really ramp up the slander, or this, that, and the third, have people either recording, all these different tactics. These are all tried and true tactics of discrediting and all of that. So that's kind of really part of why I put this on both the I Ramble platform and the I Mean No Disrespect platform, and called it guidance, because these are tried and true principles. And what it boils down to was, don't put yourself in a position because you put yourself in that position. So don't be mad at, but learn from it. You know, don't fall and crumble or none of that. So I had to come to terms with all of these things and realize my yesterdays don't affect my today, and I had to stay strong what I was trying to build, and all of that. So, but to get back to the what I was saying earlier now. So now, why I even told you that part of the story was, now when I picked him up and we was I picked up my other friend and we was going back to his house. Now there were some cars following us. So now me and my friend is thinking like, oh man, we don't know if it's them dudes, but we know we don't got no beef, and we know there should be no reason why nobody following us. So I tell my brother, like, look, you see these cars, because this is like a Jeep Cherokee. This is like just other different vehicles. And he's like, he ain't paying it no mind. Like, man, don't worry about it, you know. And that's part of our naivety, being young and all of that. We now looking back, we should have realized something was going on, but we didn't know enough to know. So we driving back to my friend's house, and we get to his apartment, and you know, their cars park up. We park, they park, and we go in my friend's apartment. And my friend is asking, you know what I'm saying, because he don't know my brother like that. He just know we look alike, and that's my brother. And he's just curious. He's like, you know, so what's up, man? What's, you know, who's them people following us and this, that? He's like, oh, nah, man, don't worry about that. I don't even know who that is. You know, playing it off like it's nothing. But me and my friend looking at it like, we know what we've been through, so we don't think it's nothing. I know what I've been through, so I don't think it's nothing. But what can we do? We young, we don't know no better. We know it's not our beef. We know, you know what I'm saying? We know those things, so we not studying it like that. So my friend was like, yo, you know, you can leave through the side door if you think it's some dudes you beefing where you think it's a problem. Then you can just leave through the side door over there and just go. You know, you don't gotta even go back out to the front. He's like, nah, man, don't worry about it. It ain't no problem, and it's not this, that, and the third. So we stay there for about an hour or another hour or something or whatever. And then he's like, yo, just drop me off before you go to work. I said, all right. And, you know, we left my friend's house. I get in the car. We driving out. And as we driving out, those same car drive out. And I'm not paying it too much mind, but I'm paying it mind, meaning that when I'm turned, they turn, I'm turned. But I'm thinking, okay, if it wasn't like when them dudes was chasing us, where they was really, you know, trying to really catch up to us turning. But every turn we make, the same cars make the same turn. So they make all the turns we make, and one of the turns I made, they just happened to be at a light behind us. So we made a turn, and once we made the turn, a friend of mine was coming out the other street, and he reached out the window, yo, what's up, what's up? And my brother's like, you know him? I was like, yeah, that's a friend of mine. So my brother jumped out the car, yo, I'm gone, I'll call you later, I'll see you later. And he jumped out the car and run over to my friend's house, friend car, and was like, yo, you know, telling them to take him somewhere. And my friend was like, yo, all right, I got him, I could take him. My friend don't know what's going on. I don't really know what's going on, because those cars ain't really speeding behind us, but they making our turns. So they drive off, and I drive to work. I get to work. I'm at work for an hour or two, something like that. I get a phone call from the car dealership. They say, yo, you can get your car back. In hindsight, I'm thinking on it like, of course, that was just stupid. But at the time, I just want my car back and don't want to pay this $800 a month, because I couldn't afford it. That just didn't make any sense. So when we drive, I called my homeboy that I had left his house. I said, yo, the car dealership said we can swap the cars. I pick him up. We drive down to the car dealership. I pull into the front of the car dealership. The dude came outside. He was like, no, you can drive back. No, the car is in this other side around here by the mechanic. Just drive around there. You can pick it up over there. We pay it no mind. I drive around to the other side. And it was like you had to kind of go around the corner. And I'm thinking it wasn't really a whole block. It was like maybe 100 feet or something like that. And then you can just make the right turn into the mechanic shop. We turned into the mechanic shop. As soon as I turned in, didn't even park the car good. From everywhere, police just came from everywhere, man. Pulled me out the car, pulled my friend out the car. Man, didn't treat us nice at all, man. It was who's this dude? Where's this dude? Where's this dude? And I'm like, man, we don't even know these people who they're asking about. Like, where's this guy? Who's this guy? And we're like, what? We don't know. We don't know who you're talking about. Like I said, we young dudes. We ain't out there. We ain't doing none of that. So we don't have no idea who these people are we're talking about. So one dude, all right, so this one cop said, we got your brother over there. We're going to bring you down there. And we're going to tell him we're going to lock you up unless he tell us where these other people are. It's like, man, we don't know who these dudes are you talking about. We don't. And in hindsight, I'm thinking they know we didn't know, or they just double checking to make sure we don't know, trying to scare us like, such and such. Man, we don't know who these people are he asking about. So the one cop that told me that, he left. Another one came over. We put me in their car and we started driving. He said, all right, look, you direct us over there, and when we get over there, you're gonna tell us who they are, or he's gonna tell us who they are, and we gonna let you go. We said, man, we don't know who these people are that you're talking about, man. He said, all right, won't worry about it. Just direct us down there. And we, in hindsight, looking back, I didn't realize at the time he didn't know where my brother was, and I didn't know he didn't know where my brother was. So I directed him back over there to where he was staying at before the day before. Mind you, earlier now, when he jumped out the car to get my homeboy car, he's like, yo, me gone, me call you. So I'm thinking he's leaving because he don't live there, he don't stay in the area. He's always here, there, and everywhere. So I don't even think he over there. And that's just my thinking and my frame of mind at the time. We get over there, he's still there. They put him on the phone. He's like, tell him we want to know who's this dude and where this dude is at, or we gonna lock you up. So I'm relaying to them, this is what he's saying to me, and he's like, yo, listen, I don't know them guys neither. They're not going to do nothing to you. Don't worry about it. You don't know them. You don't know what's going on. Don't worry about it. Just come see me, and we'll go from there. Don't worry about it. I'm good. Don't worry about it. Man, that was the first time in my brain where I died. Like, and I think when I think of the root cause, when I reach out to these therapists and different people, they always stress the root cause of things like that. And I think that's where my depression started, because in my brain at that time, I just died, man. I literally, in my brain at that time, I died. I literally, I died right there in my brain. I was, he said, don't worry about it. Just come. Like I was saying, so he said to come see him, and so I went to see him, and he was like, don't worry about it, because I'm in there with him in the visiting room. I'm crying. I'm telling me, don't cry, man, don't cry. I shouldn't have put you in that position. Don't cry. Just, he's trying to console me while he's trying to be strong for both of us at that point. And, telling me, just stop crying. Just calm down. Or this is what I need you to do. This is what I need you to do. And, we talk about it. We go through it. I tell him what happened. And he's like, all right, look, just do this for me right now. I need some money. I need tobacco. I need papers, rolling paper, and and get me some shoes. And at that point, man, I'm just feeling so, man, I can't even convey, I can't even, so I'm just trying to listen to what he's saying, and I'm like, yeah, of course, yes, I'm just saying yes, and just yes, still just trying to go through it, and I'm like, okay, yes, yeah, man, yes, yeah, okay. So I start, just take, making sure everything, just making sure he get what he talking about, right? So, so things, so it's going on, right? So that's going on, right? So he getting what he need and things like that, right? So we get to a point where now he's about to go to court, and he called me up and he's like, come see me. We got to talk about something. So I go see him. We talk about it. He's like, look, it's self-defense. I said, what's self-defense? Because like I tell you, I'm young. I'm trying to figure out. I'm still trying to figure out what just everything. And he like, self-defense. Oh, don't worry about it. Just go see my lawyer. So I go see his lawyer. His lawyer is in Baltimore. I go see his lawyer, and I go to his lawyer's office, and I'm in his lawyer's office, and his lawyer's like, okay, so your brother say it's self-defense, and this is what happened. So he tell me what my brother told him. I said, so what if that's not what happened? And he's like, okay, first thing, I'm not your lawyer. Okay, because what he said was the dude set him up and tried to rob him, and trying to rob him, he got shot. But what had happened was my brother set that dude up to rob him, and in the midst of the dude getting set up to be robbed, that dude got shot. So I found that out, and I asked the lawyer, and the lawyer said, man, I can't give you no advice on if you testify and say that's what happened. So I say, what if that's not true? And he said, no, I can't tell you what the state gonna ask you, or however it's gonna go. So my brother had told him that the dude set him up, trying to rob him, and shot him, and he drove like an hour and a half to my house. And because my stepmother is a nurse, that she would be able to help him. And then when he got to the house, she wasn't there, but I saw him bleeding, and I told him she wasn't there, and he said, don't worry about it, and left. So in my mind, none of that made sense, it just didn't make no sense, right? So I say, what if that's not true? And then he just kept saying, I'm not your lawyer, I can't give you no advice, I can't tell you what they're gonna ask you, I can't tell you if all you're gonna be able to do is just say that, and then that's it. I don't know what they might ask you. And then once again, I'm not your lawyer, I can't give you no advice. Is that what happened? So I say to the lawyer, I'm gonna go talk to my brother, and then I'm gonna just go talk to my brother. So I didn't answer his question when he asked me was it true, because I didn't know how to answer that. I didn't know how that go. You know what I'm saying? So I just say I'm going to talk to my brother. So I go see my brother next visit, and we in there, and he's like, you talk to the lawyer? And I said, yeah, I went to the lawyer, I talked to him, and he told me what you said. And I'm like, but you know that's not what happened. So if I go say that, and they ask me all of these other things, what am I supposed to say? Because, you know, the truth is the truth, right? So you don't got to rehearse it or say this, that, and the third about it. You know what I'm saying? You just going to just say what the truth is. So I'm asking him, like, I'm just messed up in my head at that point in time, feeling bad, so I'm just like, I'm trying to help you because that's all I always did, and I'm trying to help you because I messed up. But I don't know street stuff, so I wasn't out there, so I don't know how to conduct myself that way. So I don't know what the answers to these things are supposed to be. He's like, nah, man, don't worry about it. They ain't gonna. All you gotta do is just say what I said, and it's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. Just say I drove over there, and you know, just say, man. And like I said, at that point in time, my brain, I had died, man. I had started giving up, and I didn't know how to tell him, like, yo, I don't feel comfortable doing this. They gonna ask me things and ask me this, that, and the third, and I ain't gonna know how to say none of the other shit that I'm supposed to say when they ask me that. It's just gonna all be a bunch of lies on top of lies, like. But you know, at this point, you know, he's just trying to situate this situation. So he's like, don't worry about it, man. Just say this and say that and say this and say that. And he's like, look, come on. Just look. They said they're going to give me 3 years. And I'm saying to myself, I'm just feeling bad after bad after bad. 3 years? Oh my! I'm just feeling bad after bad after bad. He's like, man, all you gotta do is just say this, say that, and we gonna be okay, and it's gonna be okay. I'm like, man, you know that's not what happened. And if they say this and ask me this and ask me that, it's gonna. So now, something in my brain is like, if not staying on path, if not focusing on what we're supposed to do in the first place, lead to this, then why are you doing this and living this? I don't even know where that part came from. But I'm like, all the stories you told me, all the things you said, like, if this is, man, I couldn't make no sense of it. So I say, look, I can't do that. You gonna have me say you drove such and such, and this is what happened, I saw you and you just left, then what happened after that? I don't even know where these thoughts came from. But, with my maturity now, I know they came from the Most High, because that's where your guidance and knowledge come from. So, no, I know that now. I didn't know it then. Why I was asking these things. I'm like, if you left and like, so, man, I couldn't make sense of it. All I know is it was gonna get worse and worse, and then I'm thinking it's gonna get worse for you too. Look, I went to my major in college, when I went to community college, was criminal justice, right? I wanted to be a lawyer because my brother kept getting himself in so much trouble. I wanted to be a defense attorney, and me and my sisters had an agreement. They would let me watch Matlock, and they could watch they would watch Days of Our Lives, One Life to Live, General Hospital, and they would watch their shows, right? But they would let me watch Matlock and Andy Griffith and Beverly Hillbillies. So we had like a little time frame that we would work out. But I would only want to watch Matlock to, like, if my brother got in trouble, I want to be able to help him out. So he's like, don't worry about it. Everything will be okay. Just say this, just say that. And like I said, I don't know where those thoughts came from other than the Most High. Just saying that to me. Like, this is going to get worse if we don't just stop it right here with what they said to you and how it's going to go or how it's going to be. But if you now is trying to make me say this and that and this is what happened, it's just going to keep spiraling and just getting worse. I don't know where that thought process came from, other than just saying that's just what the Most High said at that time. So I said, look, I don't feel comfortable with saying that because your lawyer said he not my lawyer. He can't give me no advice. He can't tell me what's going to happen after this, beyond this. So if I do this and say all of this, don't you see what the ramification is? He's like, no, man, don't worry about that part. Don't just say this. You don't know what happened. You don't know where I went to. You don't know. You just don't know. Just say that. And I said, man, I don't feel comfortable saying that or doing that. Please don't ask me to do that. Please don't ask me to say that. And he said, look, I need you to do this. I need you to say this. And that's another time when I knew I died in my brain, or I thought I died in my brain. It's like, if you don't do this and say this, don't come see me. And I didn't know how I didn't even know how to even deal with that part when he said that. I'm like, look, I'm thinking in my brain, like, all I ever did was try to help you. Like, this don't even make no sense to me. So I'm trying to wrap my brain around what was going on and what he was saying, and I couldn't wrap my brain around none of it, you know. And like I said, that's part of why we try to give you some guidance, man, because if you don't know and you're out there and growing your business or doing whatever you're doing, if you're not versed, if you don't know, your business won't be successful. You're putting your life in peril. You're doing yourself a disservice, man. And I had to really meditate on the fact that at the time, my brother really didn't realize how to navigate the situation. Sometimes you do things and deal with things and don't realize it's real till it get real or till it is real. And then when it becomes real, you do whatever you think is best at the time to navigate or fix the situation. But I just didn't know how to deal with the situation, and really let me say this now, because I got more mature, older, and was able to look back and see a lot of things. I want to really apologize to my nieces and my nephews, my sisters, my brothers, my family members, my dad, my mom, my aunt, my uncle, I apologize for not putting myself, for giving up, not putting myself in a better frame of mind to be able to cope with the situation, to do better as a mom, an uncle, a dad. I have to actually have real conversations with my daughter, my son, and about just not being able to cope with the situation and giving up, and not being able to be a better uncle, a better dad, a better brother, sister. Man, I had checked out. I had given up, and I so sincerely apologize. And when I think back on the situation, because I got more mature, I realized I really did have the strength to not give up. I just didn't know it then, like I know it now, and I had just given up, man. I had given up on life. I just gave up. I was like, man, I'm just going to die, and that's just going to be it, and it don't even matter. I just gave up. But in the sense of giving up, it wasn't that I didn't reach out. It wasn't that I didn't try to do. It was just so many other things that I can't even get into that affect the fact that when I did reach out, especially at that time and even after, but because when you hurt people, you can't tell them when to feel better. I did not give up. I'm not a monster. I'm not a heartless, not caring person. That was never the situation with this situation with my brother, man. I made a mistake. And any mistake that I make, I always reach out to the person or the people or whoever I made the mistake with to find out how could I make it better. I never made a mistake and just turned my back like, oh well. That was never my character, and that's never my character. And trying to defend myself or say certain things that could make the picture be painted a little different would be wrong for real, because people went through some things and maybe they're in a better space, hopefully, and I didn't want to bring it back up to re-traumatize them as I self-traumatize myself every day since this happened. And what I realize and know now is that if I didn't deal with it, I would never be able to function. And I don't know if they're able to function now, and if they are, I didn't want to re-traumatize them by saying I did this and I did that. But what I didn't do was not reach out or not trying to do. But I was in the midst of just giving up, depression, and just not caring. And I know now it was wrong and it was bad. I just didn't know how to cope or deal with it. And that's why I do this, because a lot of people suffer in silence, man. A lot of people deal with depression, anxiety, and deal with so many different things and don't know how to deal with it. But if I wasn't able to deal with and address this, then you wouldn't have the strength and power to deal with what you're going through. Make sure any help that you need, seek that help. Don't give up on yourself. Seek that guidance. Seek a counselor. Seek someone who can help you get you in a better space. Just never give up and never feel like your yesterday define your tomorrow. The only thing real is right now. You have to stay strong and focus. But I never gave up on my brother, man. My brother gave up on himself with the lifestyle that he chose. Man, I reach out to him so consistently, like I be thinking like saying to someone that when you were young you did things that you didn't know better than to do, or you knew better but still did it, you're not that person now, and that's not who you are. That is the way to go. But promoting a lifestyle or feeling like man a bad man, or this is what we do, no, that's not the way to go, because you know what comes from that and you know how that works out. So that's never what we should do or promote, because we're just you're just promoting, or that's just promoting the rinse and repeat cycle of a lack of guidance or adhering to guidance that you know you got. We had two hard-working parents that showed us the guidance, that showed us the hard work. So when he said, don't come see me because I wouldn't do that, man, that put me in a space that I just gave up. And then we just started going through the same thing over and over again. Now you're asking me to do all of these other things that you know would put me in a position where, instead of saying, yo, listen, little brother, I got you, I'm going to make sure you don't fall victim to none of what I fell victim to. I got you. I'm going to make sure you pay attention to what our parents taught us, the hard work our dad showed us. I got you. That's how you should get me, my brother. But when we don't deal with the root cause of our anger, when we don't deal with the root cause of our trauma, we end up being hurt people that hurt people. And I'm beyond all of those thinking. You know, I'm striving to be just understanding what's going on and what this is. So no matter what you said about me, no matter how you try to turn my life into a Truman Show or none of that, I'll never argue back and forth with you. I'll never. No, but listen, man. I then came to a consensus a long time ago. You've been saying stuff like this about me for 20 plus years, man. To people in the family. People in the family already told me what you said 20 years ago. You just said it on a different level now. But I'm never going to argue and go back and forth with you like that. I apologize to you. I'm a grown man. I'm an adult. I understand if I made a mistake, if I was wrong here and there, I can be apologetic. I apologize to anybody who I've hurt, directly, indirectly, however, man, because that was never my intent. If you know me, you know me. You know I don't enter anything trying to get over, use, swindle, none of that, man. That's not my character, man. I try to be fair in all our dealings. Anything that we do is above board. We agreeing to agree that we're adults and we're whatever it is, man. I apologize to anybody who I've hurt, harmed, and I don't mean harm in a violent way. I mean however you felt or I wronged you, hurt you. Man, I apologize. Because that was never my intent. And I know the intent don't affect the result. But if you know me and we had any kind of interactions, man, you know that's never what I was trying to do. And you know that wasn't the energy you got from me. I just know that if I hadn't addressed this situation, I wouldn't be able to cope or function. And I wouldn't be able to be the vessel that I was meant to be. I wouldn't be able to be the manifestation of what God is trying to make me be. It's thine will be done, not mine. And my brother, listen, man. You have to seek the root cause of any anger that you feel. No one abandoned and gave up on you. My brother, I feel you gave up on yourself, man. I don't sit and think of anything negative about you. I don't. Whatever you choose to do, say, or whatever, however it goes, or whatever's going on, I never saw it. I have never seen it to this day. I've never looked for it. None of that, man. Because I never wanted to react in an emotional manner. Because I know I put myself in a position that I should not have. so I can't blame you for anything you did, do, or say. I just know that if you know better, you do better. And doing is an action word. So I was never gonna lash out. Oh, you leaving me a snitch informer? You can do that all day. It doesn't, listen, I know who the Most High say I am. I know who the Most High say He wants me to be. And I knew that so long ago, that even when I realized you were trying to discredit, slander, or do anything to me, that I was never going to react in an emotional manner. I knew that so long ago, man. But what I do know too as well is I have kids that need to look up to me. I need to know when I say I was wrong, and I apologize. And I always tell my daughter, always do your best and know you did your best. And once you know you did that, what could you do better? So no matter what you say to whoever, because I love you and my family so much, I was never going to discredit the hard work of our aunt and uncle, our mom and dad, and any of our family. We're going back and forth, lashing out, reacting emotional, saying this, that, and the third. I was never going to do none of that. The Most High gave me that overstanding so long ago that He said, be still and know that He is God. Just like I didn't realize what our stepmom said, be contented is great gain, meant, I had to really research and realize what God was saying when He said, be still and know that He is God. So once I came to terms with that, I had to realize it's deeper than rap. It's bigger than us. Because we always say it's real rap. But what is real rap? Real rap is being true with yourself and being true with everyone else. So once I realized those things, man, I had to relax. I had to be still. So even though I could have searched, asked my family, my friends, who was like, that's between y'all, not, it was a greater good. Because if this is not about us, then it's about everyone. And once I came to that consensus, man, I had to just know and say, it's thine will be done. It's not my will be done. And I wasn't going to go back and forth with you. I wasn't going to argue with you. I wasn't going to lash out and react emotional for clicks, for this, for that, clap back. I wasn't going to do it for none of that content. No. I couldn't do that. I won't do that, man. I decided to get on some motivation stuff, man. Because if anybody can learn, a lot of people suffer in silence. They're going through some things and they're suffering in it right now because they don't feel they have the strength enough to say something or do something. So that's what my purpose was to be. It's like, no matter what I went through and go through, I need to be able to tell you that no matter what you're going through or dealing with, stand up for yourself. Don't feel you're suffering alone. There's people in the world that's going through it all day, every day. Seek the help, seek the guidance that you need. If you know someone's going through something, struggling with something, Be that friend. And if you're the one going through it too, talk to a stranger if you don't feel comfortable talking to your friend, family member, or whoever. My homeboy, listen, man. My homeboy music called me the other day, and and just knowing and thinking about what was going on, I had to make sure I didn't leave him out in the apology. Listen, homeboy. I'm gonna say your name, DJ. You said call you whoever I choose to, right? Listen, I was talking to a friend of mine about the situation, and they was asking me what happened. I thought I was having just a regular conversation with a friend of mine. So as I was more mature, I was just having a regular conversation with them. And I was crying, I was emotional. And I didn't realize that it was deeper than that. I was stuck in thought while I was talking to them. Because as I got older and more mature, I was realizing that day when you helped out, that your day and your life could have got messed up. My day, my life, all our friends, man, and we was young boys. So I was stuck in thought. I was never trying to ask anybody to cover up, hide, or say you did anything other than be a stand-up guy. Because that's all I know you as. I call you big homie because you always motivated me, because you was always on your entrepreneur thing. My brother knew what happened the whole time. So I could never be sitting there trying to ask somebody or saying or telling somebody you did anything. And if it sound like that, man, please, I apologize. I was just stuck in thought, reminiscing, because I thought I was having just a conversation. And I was emotional and crying at the time as well. I thought I was just having a conversation, and I was just in the midst of reminiscing on what happened. So when I'm stuck saying DJ, I wasn't trying to say you did anything other than be stand-up. And if it sound anything other than that, man, I never, like I said, I never heard none of what my brother said in terms of how, well, the blog, podcast, wherever. I've never heard any of it to this day, man. I swear to God. I just know when we talked and certain things you were saying, and I might have even taken it out of context. But I was stuck in thought, just reminiscing on what happened that day. I was never trying to say and never asking anyone to cover up and cahoots with me in any way, man. Because my brother that it happened to, that I talked to, knew what happened that day. So how could I try to hide that? So I don't know if any of that mean anything to you, but I had to make sure I addressed that part too, as well, as it dawned on me, man. Because we trying to be true and real with this. And this is what we're doing in life. We don't know why we here, our purpose, but we're trying to find it, seek it. But like I said, I'm just trying to be on some motivational thing. So I don't really harp too much on the past, things that happened, to try to get into back and forth, I'll try my best not even to do none of that, man. But because you were just so true to me and I love you, that I wanted to I'm glad that thought popped in my head, like, to clear that part up. And I hope that means something to you, and I hope you understand that. And I hope you can look and see that, listen, man, that's not what I was trying to do, because my folks already knew what had happened. I was stuck in thought, trying to just think about what could have happened, man. It was 3 young dudes involved in that situation that had nothing to do with it, man. I never went on no robbery with my brother. I never set my brother friend up to rob him. I had nothing to do with it. I knew nothing about it till well after the fact. I was trying to come to terms with what all was going on, like all of y'all was who didn't know nothing about it, because I didn't. I had to make that part, you know, I had to, yeah, man, because, yeah, you was nothing but more than a stand-up dude that loved me and was trying to help me, not realizing how you could have hurt and harmed yourself. And that's the same thing with my big brother. You put me in a position and you involved me in a certain situation that you knew could have hurt and harmed your little brother, instead of saying, no, my little brother, I got you. You're not going to fall victim to none of what I fell victim to. I got you. You're going to pay attention to all that our dad taught us, because he was teaching us hard work and everything. I got you. But maybe you ain't know better at the time. I don't know.